pitched in the media in the past few days. What have you made of calls that the club's lost its identity?
Yeah. Look, I respect everyone's right to an opinion. Don't agree with it. I think we live in a football world where probably prior to last week's game, 7 days ago, we were back in the finals race and really dominant side, best side out of the 8, all this sort of stuff. We weren't listening too closely then, and we're not listening too closely now. So, we've got some work to do. There's no doubt about that. We're more acutely aware of the challenges we face than anyone else. So, I'm not concerned about the players' state of mind. I'm concerned about their actions, and some of our actions have let us down at crucial parts of games, and we've got to go and fix that. And we're looking forward to Friday night.
Downhill skiers is one term that was bandied about last night. What did you make of that, or what do you make of that?
Well, again, people, I worry about what we talk about internally and what we've got to work on in our game. And those things I've said repeatedly that are very clear to us, and they're still very clear to us. The players know in no uncertain terms what we need to work on. But unfortunately, these things take time. They're not the things that we've got to fix don't get fixed overnight. And the reality of the situation is, if we'd won all the games the close losses this year, we'd be sitting level with Hawthorn and Geelong. And we don't feel we're at that level yet. So clearly we have things to fix to get to that level. And that's part of the reason why we've lost a lot of close games. But what I'm really excited about and really buoyed about is that we play an up-tempo style of footy. That my philosophy is that we want to play that style of footy because we think it's going to beat the best teams in the competition in September. And that's what we're going to keep driving towards. Now, we've certainly had some lapses and mentally and physically we've been fatigued at times, which have cost us, and we've made some poor decisions. But we're going to keep pushing with a philosophy of a style of footy that's going to beat the best. We're not into stopgap measures. I've never talked about that in the 4 years that I've been here at North, and we're going to keep pushing towards our ultimate aim.
Do you need to have times in games though when you change that and say right now's the time to slow it down? And adding to that, are you doing that as well as you'd like? Yeah,
that's part of it. We're not saying that we're trying to kick 25 goals every game. There's no doubt we need to defend better, and we certainly need to play footy that gets it on our terms, and we're able to halt momentum when things aren't on our terms. Because the reality of our footy at the moment is we're really struggling to halt momentum shifts. And I think sides are struggling to halt our momentum too. But to be a good side, we've got to be able to take control of the game when it's not going our way, when we're not winning the ball, be able to defend a bit better and be able to use it a bit better going forward.
How much of that is physical and how much of that is mental?
I think it's a combination of both. But physically we're really happy with the improvements we've made over the last few years. So, mentally I'm not overly concerned about, because, to be honest, I'm not worried about how players feel. I'm worried about what they do. And that's what we've got to focus on. So, we'll keep working on the physical side. We're going to continue to get better and better in that area. And, mentally, I've got great faith in the character of our players, and, we're going to get a response this Friday night. There's no doubt about that.
There's been some suggestions that your midfield maybe lacks the aerobic capacity of other sides. Is that correct, do you think?
No, it was correct in 2010, absolutely. We really went about rebuilding a midfield group, but those guys have really improved. But when we talk about Swallow, Bastanak, Gibson, they're some of the elite runners in the competition. So, I think people are entitled to their opinion, but I know the facts, and I'm better placed than anyone else to know what we've got to work on, and we'll continue to drill it. And it's going to take a bit of time, but we're confident our best is good enough, and we've just got to fix the other parts.
You just touched on Friday night. Is it now a true, and you mentioned the word character, is it a true test of the club and the players' character?
I think if you look back over time, the test of this club's character always comes through, and when we face those tests we always bounce back, and we've done that over the last 3 or 4 years as well. The important thing about questioning us as a team, questioning our mental fragility, all the questions that have been asked are valid, and we've given people a reason to ask those questions. So I respect everyone's right to ask those questions, but what I'm focused on is us. And I'm focused on what we need to do.
The on-field leadership, there's some question maybe too nice, not hard enough as far as on-field leadership. Is that a slap in the face to Swallow and Co?
No, I think Andrew Swallow's a very nice guy. He's a great guy, but he's a brutal competitor. Levi Greenwood's a brutal competitor. Jack Z will as you guys have seen many times, will walk over broken coals for this football club, as will everyone who runs out wearing our jumper on the weekend. So, no one was calling us too nice, Mark, a week and a half ago. So, a bit of perspective is important, but the questions, as I said, are valid, and the only way we can answer them is with our actions.
You mentioned that it's taking time to get bedded down, what you want bedded down. Will it happen in the next 7 weeks? Is that soon enough, or is 2013 nearly finished for you?
No, I hope so, Tony, but we're just going to continue to work on the process and not worry too much about putting a time limit on it. When you look at, I think the thing that all North Melbourne supporters should be, really excited about is they go into a game thinking, is their team capable of winning? Now, out of, I think the one game we probably got beaten by Sydney in the third quarter, every other game this year, we've had our chance to win it. And so supporters go to our games knowing that, gee, we're a great chance of winning this game. But our supporters also know that we've been vulnerable in parts of games as well. And that's the part of our team psyche, our team strategy, our physical preparation that we're working on. But I've got great confidence. I've never been more confident in this club's future than right now.
You had some injury concerns coming out of the match last weekend. How are those players looking for Friday?
Yeah, I think most of them should be okay. The Hanson one, we've got to just, through process, got to wait until the last minute to make a decision on him, and that'll be left in the doctor's hands, obviously. Swallow won't do much today, but we think he'll be okay. Tarrant will train. Mullet is touch and go at this point, to be honest. And Jack Z will probably do a little bit, but has got to jump a few hurdles as well. So there are a few guys that have got to pass tests, but we won't know much until Thursday night probably.
What's the actual issue with Swallow? It looks like he's just sort of jogging and doing not much else at the moment.
Yeah, he's just got a combination of knocks, and he's got a bit of a knock to the arm, which we certainly don't want getting hit again at training. So. And we think he'll be right to go Friday, but it's just a bit of an issue. He's such an inside player, he gets banged around a lot, so we think he'll be fine.
Jack was pretty special on the weekend for Werribee. Is he sort of waiting to hear what happens with Hanson? Is that his situation?
No, he's just... No, we've got to look at the balance of our side, and Madge played his best game for a while, so he's not far away, and we are fortunate in that situation because while Dan Curry didn't play, we think he's ready to come in when we need him. But 11 goals out of our key forwards again on the weekend, Peachy with 5 and Tarrant and Black with 3 each. So, we're pretty well stocked in that situation, in that part of the ground. So, Madge is going to have to push to get his spot, but he's doing everything right at the moment.
Do you feel you're under more pressure with Hanson after what happened last year with the investigation that seemed to go on forever?
No, I think the doctors are all under pressure now, Mark. I think that as soon as there's a head knock and Lockie went into a position that is consistent with being concussed. So, almost immediately the doc knew that we had to sub him out, and that's the right call. But I think the docs are under pressure. But fortunately, with a sub, you can make the substitution, get a new player on, and it's okay. But the AFL have made the right call with making sure the players' welfare is first and foremost.
What does the return of Leslie Thomas mean?
Oh, well, it means certainly a bit more firepower and a bit more defensive pressure. I think some of the forwards have tried to step up in his absence, but he's clearly an important part of what we're trying to do in our forward half, and presents a bit of a headache to the opposition. So he's become very reliable, Lindsay, so we'll welcome him back.
He's got a really good record in Carlton in particular, Lindsay. Is that something that you think will give him a bit of extra confidence this week? I
hope so. Look, he's become a player who... probably a few years ago was a bit nervous on the big stage. Now he thrives on it. So he just can't wait. He's obviously very fresh and ready to play. So but he's got to focus on what's important in his game. And when his intensity's up and he's attacking the contest, he's very hard to stop because he can get the ball just about any way, whether it's in the air at a stoppage or on the ground. So his record against Carlton's probably irrelevant. I think he's starting to develop a record that's pretty good against most sides.
The knock blocking cup seemed fairly innocuous. Is there any concern he's becoming a bit susceptible to some of these concussions?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and we asked the same question of our medical experts because it didn't seem like it was too severe, but the word is that it got him right in the right spot. So, but I mean, he was really frustrated and players are frustrated these days because, 20 minutes after he felt ready to go and wanted to come back on. But obviously, we couldn't take that risk. So we don't think so, Nick, but it's certainly something we've got to closely monitor.
One of the criticisms, Brad, has been you haven't tried enough players this year. Are you likely to do that in the run home?
No, we'll keep picking the side that we think is going to give us the best chance of winning. We've also we're fortunate in that we do have a lot of players who are knocking on the door, and that's a good position to be in. But it's all the players are judged, really critically in terms of how they perform, and if their performance is not at the level it should be, then we'll make changes. But we won't be making changes for the sake of it.
Just this issue of stopping the other side when they get a run on. Are you making progress with it? Everyone's from the weekend suggested this is as bad as that.
Yeah, no, well, we're not. I mean, we're working hard on it, but we're not doing it well enough. So, but I think if you look back at the Richmond game, were they able to get a run on? And our defensive side of our game was good enough to stop that. So, what we're struggling with is sides who come in at half time, and I think every game bar 2 or 3 this year, I think as a match committee, we've been asking ourselves, what are the opposition going to change? Because we've been so dominant. So what we've struggled with our players is to adapt to different situations, and the opposition has changed, and we haven't adapted. But I think that the disappointing thing is that we've seen common themes in being scored against, and we've worked on that, and we haven't improved. So, we've got to keep working on that and keep identifying the key areas that we've got to fix. And it takes time. Players take time to adjust to different systems, and we think our systems, work really well. But they've been letting us down at times as well because we haven't followed through on them. So that is disappointing. That it is a trend, and we're not shying away from that. I don't think anyone could say that we are. We're upfront about it, and we've got to fix it, and we're going to go about it.
You mentioned, Brad, your fitness is obviously on the improve, but how far have you got to go to where you really ideally want to get to?
Well, I think in terms of most players, take a while, at least 3, 4, 5 years to get anywhere near their potential and their aerobic capacity. And with a lot of our young midfielders, we're not at that stage yet. But we think 3 Utah campaigns have set us on the right path. And I honestly don't think it's an aerobic conditioning issue for us. It's more of a adherence to the way we want to play all the time. And we can put together 110 minutes of great footy, but we can't do it for 120 minutes. And that's the reason we are where we are. If we could put together 120 minutes, we'd be sitting level with Hawthorn and Geelong. And that wouldn't be right either, because we're not at that level yet.